Welcome to the Landscaping Podcast. My name is Joel Barnett and I'm your host. And in today's episode, I'm talking with Ollie Stevens from Hungry Wolf Studio. So Ollie does architectural concrete. In this episode, we're talking about how he got into the industry and how he started off doing house slabs and then worked his way up to doing high-end commercial and residential concreting, and then went out on his own and started experimenting on his own place with the high-end bespoke pieces that he does now with barbecue bench tops and floating steps, that sort of thing. So it was interesting seeing how he progressed on that pathway. And we also talk about the concrete course that he's about to launch, where he's going to be teaching people how to do the same work that he does. So that'll be pretty interesting to keep an eye out for. So here's Ollie Stevens. Ollie, thank you for joining us on the Landscaping Podcast. First thing I'd like to ask you is how you got into the landscaping/concreting industry. Did you start into it straight out of school?
I did, mate. Yeah, so fresh from, I was working a job at Coles, just on the registers. I was that particular day when a lady came up to me and said, do you like your job? And I said, no, I hate it. And she said, do you want to come and work for my husband? And she said, I said, yeah, sure. What is it? She said, concreting. And I said, well, when would I be starting? She said, tomorrow. I said, done. I'll be there. And showed up and then started. Yeah, so that was doing house slabs out in, the growing suburbs of the southeast, Clyde, Cranbourne, all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's just gone berserk out there now. But when all that sort of started about 20 years ago, that's where I was. And yeah, it was good. It was really hard work. But the boss at the time, he was great, and he said to me, he goes, now that you're in gumboots, he said, you're never going to get out of him. I just laughed. I just thought, no, I'll do this for a little bit, make a bit of money, and then I'll jog on and do something else. But just formed a bit of a bond, me and concrete, and it's just sort of gone. I've gone through the industry and ended up where we are now. So it's pretty good.
So what were you doing on the first day? Were you doing any? We wouldn't even pushing any barriers if they were doing house slabs, I don't assume.
No, it was all pumps. I mean, everything was pretty new to me, and I wasn't extremely sort of built for concrete back then, and it was hard work. So it was just sort of labouring, and basically running.
And washing down the tools at the end.
Washing tools and all the fun stuff, But yeah, no, it was good. I learned a lot pretty quickly, and you learn to respect concrete pretty quickly because you've only got a certain time limit with it. And the quicker you can get it finished and all that sort of stuff, the better your day is. It can go pretty pear-shaped pretty easy.
Yeah, it'd be interesting seeing a graph on how long your day is going to take in terms of how fast it's going off, because once it starts going, you're just chasing the tail and it just gets worse and worse off bound.
Yeah, it doesn't get easier, unfortunately. So you just got to start moving. So we've been lucky. We've had a pretty long winter, but we've had a lot of downtime with a lot of our pours lately. It's just just not really going off. I mean, we put some additives and stuff in it to sort of help it along, but even then, when it doesn't get above 12, 13 degrees and you're in the shade, concrete will tend to sit all day. So you might only have a small amount to finish, but you could do a house slab in the same amount of time. So
it's crazy. So did the crew you initially work for, did they just do house slabs, or did you do driveways and paving?
Yeah, it was house slabs. So I think I was there for about 3 years, and then I was living down in Mornington Peninsula then, and then wanted to move up into the city and chase more commercial sort of style work, doing high rise and things like that. So I moved up into Middle Park and started a job working with a commercial company. Was there for a few months. Didn't really enjoy the environment I was working in, but loved the work. So I found another guy, and I was with him for 10 years. So going from doing high-end residential slabs and driveways to where we ended up was doing massive commercial 1,000 square metre floors a day. All EVA union stuff, pretty full on. But you get to see how the industry really works. on big scale projects. So that was, it was really cool, and learned a lot through that whole process as well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting it's good to do things both commercially and domestic. So because you pick up bits from both sides that can translate across.
Oh, absolutely. And it's almost like they're two totally different industries. It's completely different, the commercial stuff compared to the domestic, but both have their pros and cons, I think. But I like being a little small scale, working on little boutique projects as opposed to smashing out big commercial slabs and things like that. So
yeah, again, it's good that there's people who like doing both. Some people who like just doing, like you say, just smashing out large quantities and just turning over job after job, whereas others like to do more finesse work and take a bit of pride in what they're doing and doing it really nicely.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most important thing to me, is being able to take pride in my work. It's if I didn't have job satisfaction, I'd really struggle to do any job. I need to get satisfaction out of what I'm doing in order to make myself happy and keep going. So it's a really important part of my job, and I think that's why I've ended up in where we are. It's I'm pretty lucky, to be honest.
Yeah, well, it's hard work, so you don't want to be doing hard work and not enjoying it. So that makes sense. How long into your career as a concreter did it take for you to spill your first barrow?
I've spilled lots of barrows. Don't tell anyone. I've spilt lots of barrows over the years. Some intentional, some unintentional. But yeah, no. Look, it doesn't take too long. It is the running joke, and anyone who starts with us knows the policy pretty quickly. If you spill one, you're buying a slab. So it's a good rule, that one. I like it. I think it goes across the board, no matter what you're doing. If there's concrete around and it's got to go in the wheelbarrows, don't spill one, otherwise you're coughing up one for the boys.
Yeah, I had one of my mates gave me a hand with the concrete pour back in the early days when I first started out, so I didn't have a lot of staff. So we're doing some underpaving around a fiberglass pool. So the pool was full of water already, and he dropped the barrow into the pool, and it was the middle of winter. So I was in there with a wetsuit and shoveling concrete out of a pool. So yeah, it was good times.
Oh man, yeah, wow. Oh, I've never had to do that. Thank God.
I appreciate it, Darren. But, so you're with that guy for 10 years, and then is that when you started out on your own?
Yeah, so went out, started doing high-end residential slabs and driveways and things for myself. In that process, that was about 3 years or so. And through that time, me and my wife bought our first house and started renovating. And through that renovating process, I was starting to introduce concrete elements into that, barbecue benches and seats and things like that. Wherever I could put it, I was trying to put it basically. And now we're at the stage now. I did my last concrete pour in the house we're in now, and I think we've had over 20 concrete pours here, just pouring all sorts of. I've got everything's. There's a lot of concrete here, but it's my way of being able to do something a little bit different, and still be able to keep evolving with it and testing different products and different additives and different things like that. So that way I can have it tested before it goes out onto someone else's job or something like that. So it just sort of snowballed from there. Once we started doing barbecue benches and things, and Instagram was new, and people were actually seeing the stuff you were putting up as opposed to having to sponsor it for people to see it. Or it was pretty organic back then, and it grew our Instagram really, really quickly. And then from there, just wanted to just slowly that transition of moving out of that domestic sort of driveways and things, slabs, into the architectural concrete stuff. Took about 18 months or so to make the transition fully. And it was hard to start saying no to, good paying jobs, like big slabs and driveways and things like that into, making your few grand on a barbecue bench or something like that. But it was the job satisfaction that kept me going. I was just so happy at work. So yeah, that's what sort of, that was the priority, I think.
Yeah, it's just a great way to go. Because then eventually, if you're good enough, then you start to build up work, and then you can start increasing your prices so that you're making the same amount of money or more on those more boutique projects than you would be on a slab that you're just smashing out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. And without having to, everything was, you'd have to outsource an excavator and outsource concrete pumps, and then, get big steel deliveries and all, which is all fine. But when you can keep it all in house and keep it all in control, it's you can really just go from job to job quite quickly, and without all the stress of relying on other people and other trades and all that sort of stuff as well. So it's we've found working with there's quite a few landscapers and landscape architects that we just really love working with, because they are the same. They've got the same sort of process where it's they just understand every trade and can get everyone in, and it's just such a smooth transition. It's really nice to see when it works. Doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it's great.
Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes when you're working with someone who it doesn't work well with, that's when you appreciate the times when it does. Like we find that with builders, some of them are just amazing to work with, and everyone, all the different trades all work together and look after each other. And then you find some jobs where everyone's just in it for themselves. They don't care about what anyone else is doing. So you appreciate the other times more.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can, it can make the job, quite sour, to be honest, if you don't just have that nice, good connection on site with everyone, and, just have that good flow. So it's, it's all part of business, isn't it? But it's great when it works really well.
Yeah. So did you, with the guy that you worked for previously, had you done any type of bench tops or floating steps or anything, or do you just all practice that on your own property first?
No, I sort of started doing that for myself. It was just more, I was sort of starting to see it around. Keenan Harris, everyone sort of knows him. He was sort of the main guy. He sort of started up, and I was seeing his stuff, and I was just like, wow, this is where I need to be. This is what I want to do. So, and then from him, you were seeing us with the Instagram, particularly, you were just seeing it all over the world. It was just starting to emerge, and it was, it was really cool. So then it was just the fun part of trial and error, of learning different techniques and ways to do things. And I've certainly come a long way since I first started doing all this sort of stuff. But yeah, it's being able to renovate and put it in my own homes was a massive bonus, and especially when it came to selling and stuff as well. People were coming in and going, "Oh my God, I didn't realise concrete barbecue and like floating steps up to a fire pit or whatever," and they were just blown away. So it was really good for us to be able to have those elements in there, concrete sinks and things like that. Where, now it's become a bit more mainstream, but those elements they're still pretty timeless. So it's it's pretty cool.
I think it's still booming as well. That industry of architectural concrete is definitely still going up.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's not going anywhere. Concrete's going to be used forever. So it's just a matter of how you use it, and different finishes and different shapes. I mean, you can just do anything with it. That's what I love about it. So,
was there any, when you say you were doing trial and error at your place, were there any areas where you had to jackhammer everything out because it was just horrendous, or you nailed it?
Once I did, but that was only because I built something over an easement. The council didn't like that, so I had to cut something back. But again, that's just all trial and error stuff. So, but yeah, when it came to the floating steps and stuff, first starting out doing shadow lines and things like that, it was it was just not so much. Just the finishes are just so much better now with the way that we do it, as opposed to what it was. It still looked all right, but it wasn't anything like what it is now. So.
Yep. So how long ago was that you started doing like the steps of barbecue bench tops?
It was about 5.5 years ago. I changed my name from, I had a company, GoCrete, which was doing our concrete stuff, and then changed it to Hungry Wolf Studio. And that's when it was just totally no more driveways or anything like that, which is hard, like I said, to do. But it was, and you know, it was one of those things with business, a big risk, you know, to do it. I just had my first child at the time. And, you know, we were like, oh, what are we doing? You know, there's a couple of weeks where I wasn't working and things like that, but it's all worked out. I think that's the thing with business. Sometimes you just got to take a bit of a risk. And if you think that that's the way to go, back yourself and go for it.
How did you go about getting that kind of work? Where was it coming from?
I think a lot of it, when I first changed my name, it was quite funny because all of a sudden, you know, Hungry Wolf Studio was like, people didn't really know what it was, but they were looking it up, and you know, architects sort of started calling me, and a lot of it was word of mouth. I'd do one job, and then that person's friend or you know, mum and dad or whoever would, you know, get in contact. So, oh, this bench that you did, we'd really love something like that. And yeah, it just sort of snowballed. But I think Instagram was the major tool back then, for sure, for helping to elevate our business.
And that was just organically, or were you doing sponsored posts?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I think once it sort of got bought out by Facebook, it all sort of changed. But it's you know, it's still great. It's still a great, honest way of, you know, even what you're doing on there, Joel. You know, it's just you've approached it a little bit differently, and you've got your own style. So you sort of create your own personal style on there. You know, it's everyone's page is a bit different, and yeah, it's really good, and it's just so easy to just fall into you know, you can go onto your page and all of a sudden you go, I've been here for 10 minutes just reading little bits and looking at different pictures and seeing how those sort of elements go together. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I find, like, I know when a post is going to do well, and it's the ones that look close enough to finish, or there's something unique, but I don't care. I'll still do posts whether I know that they're not going to do well, because I just enjoy doing it. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but just enjoy actually posting, even though I know it's going to get 20 likes. But yeah, just do another the next day. But then, you know, once that project is finished, it's going to look awesome, and then it'll go nuts, and then people can go back through the feed and see how it was constructed, and it's like that.
Yeah. And I actually think that's a lot where our Instagram comes from as well, is because, you know, we were almost the first person to put in a finished, like a completely finished piece in a landscape project, or one of the last ones. So it's like all of a sudden the elements either start or they come together right at the end. And it's, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's one of those things. It's, you know, they all go hand in hand. You put some beautiful planting and stuff next to some nice burnished concrete, and all of a sudden you just get this really nice combination and colors and things that just sort of work so well on a digital platform as well.
So did you start off, like, with the concrete that you do? I imagine at the start you were getting more engineered than what you do now, because you know most of what needs to be involved, or do you actually swing to get most of it engineered still?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it sort of came from just my concrete background through the years, especially with all the commercial stuff I was doing. It was always, you know, off-form walls or concrete columns or cantilevers and all that sort of stuff. So, and then a lot of it, yeah, it's just sort of gone from there. We've got a lot of engineered plans that we still get, but, you know, a lot of the stuff we don't really need. It's more furniture. It's not so much a structural element, although it's concrete. It's more of a feature, you know, a bench top or a bench seat or something like that. I just find falls more into the furniture sort of category and things, as opposed to being a structural, like needing engineering and all that sort of stuff, depending on the environment, obviously. But
yeah. Probably the favourite project I've seen you do was a barbecue bench top you did for Apex Pools, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I reckon. I haven't seen a cantilever that big, yeah, and it curved up. How did that come about? Yeah,
that was really cool. It's a shame that they stopped doing the landscape stuff, to be honest, because every time I saw their plans, it just used to blow my mind, because they just have all these wicked ideas and wicked things that were sort of pushing the boundaries of what we were doing at the time, that's for sure. So yeah, they sort of approached us and said, hey, can we get this happening? And I think they got it all the steel frame and everything engineered, and then it was just a matter of figuring out, all right, how the hell are we going to coat this thing in concrete, basically, and form it up, you know, because there was no obviously you get a plan, but there's no instructions on how to form things like that up and stuff. So again, it's just sort of coming up with a bit of a process. And yeah, it was a really cool one. It was great. Yeah, love that barbecue bench. Love to do another one, to be honest.
How long was the cantilever on it?
It was about 2.4 meters. Yeah, with the barbecue cutout in the middle of it. So yeah, it was a pretty serious bit of steel that we sort of had to wrap up and coat. It was really cool.
So was that not like your normal ordinary reinforcing steel in that? Was it something unique, was it?
No, that wasn't. So that was all in there as well, welded as part of that frame. But it was it was one that was, sort of I don't know really how to explain it. I'm not really a steel guy, but yeah, it was all like a pre-welded setup that we then just sort of had to just box up the sides of and then fill it with concrete in the back. But
so excluding that one, have you got any favourite projects that you've done?
Favourite projects? Oh, there's so many. I don't know. There's even some of the little courtyard jobs and stuff that we've done. Like one of the very first ones we did was an acre project, and it was really simple. It was just a bench, sort of had a break in the middle, barbecue one side that turned into a dining table. It's when you can incorporate two functions into one element. That's what I really like. Just a multi-purpose piece is so that's what I like. I mean, I think my favourite piece that I've done is definitely my letterbox at home. I absolutely love it and get so many comments on it. People have put letters in our letterbox saying, "Oh, we just love your letterbox." So it's pretty cool. So yeah, and I get to see that most days. So
what is your letterbox? So is it on your Instagram?
So it's got it's basically a planter that has two components, a planter that then has a big long cantilevered piece with the letterbox down one end, and the number 19 just scrolled in some metal scrolling on it. But yeah, it's used as a seat and a planter and letterbox, and it's just another multifunctional sort of piece that I like. I think letterboxes are one of those really underrated parts of a landscape and often forgotten piece, and left to the last minute. I just throw that in there, sort of thing, as opposed to being a proper feature. They're really nice when you see a good one. I don't know, it's just changed the way I look at letterboxes.
Yeah, I saw I think it was Lily Sabo interviewed last week. She posted one. I don't know if it was actually made or was it designed yet, but she'd written basically, I think it might have been number 6. So she'd had the word number 6. I don't know if it was done I think it might have been done in steel. And even that is just something that's unique. And I'm building a house. We'll start later this year. And my plan, the house number is going to be number 1. And I plan on forming up some concrete of the letters for number 1 and then having a plant climb over it. And because the concrete won't be any good, so I've got to cover it. But I'll have a plant climb over it. So yeah, just something unique. And then you put
awesome
letters into the letter E. So
yeah, awesome. That'd be cool.
Hopefully, I don't know how doing the O is going to be the tricky part, forming that up, but we'll see how we go. But that'll be on the Instagram at some stage.
You'll be right.
In 12 months.
You'll be right.
How have you gone about staff? Because that's pretty important. That concrete is not really something when you start out that you can't really do it by yourself. You need staff straight away. So how's that been?
Yeah, when I first started out, I mean, my best friend was a set of clamps. To be honest, that was my second set of hands. Jobs were, they take probably twice as long. But yeah, now I've sort of put on one guy and that was great. But now we've sort of got a three piece. So if I can get out there for a concrete pour, get it in, help the guys get it in, and then leave a couple of guys to finish, I can either get back into the office and be quoting work or go out to a meeting or whatever. So it seems to work quite well, the 3. Or if it's a bigger job, all 3 of us will sort of stay there on site. But that's sort of where the limit needs to be drawn for us, because you just can't go doing these huge concrete pours with 3 people, and I can't go putting on another couple of people for that one job that, comes up once a month or something like that. So it's you just got to find that balance with your staff. I mean, that's the hardest part of business, isn't it? It's trying to control staff and have people working well together and things like that. So, but yeah, three works really well for what we do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the challenge also can be, especially now, is because most people have got a mountain of work coming in, and it's tempting to put on more staff so you can take on more work rather than having to knock it back. But it can often end in tears with the quality going down, and you don't necessarily work that much quicker.
Yeah, it's certainly not worth it for me. I tried it maybe 2 years ago, putting on. There was 4, so I could try and have 2 teams running to try and tackle the work, and it just wasn't worth it. It just wasn't. It wasn't where I wanted to be in business. I was just stressed and having to go over things. Things weren't getting done to the standards that I would like them to be done to, and you just sort of go, no, we've got to stick to quality, not quantity. So it was just a matter of just saying no to some of the jobs and being able to just have really good work that we can take pride in. So that's the sort of the foundation of Hungry Wolf Studio anyway.
So have you had any staff work for you that have gone out on their own after working for you?
Yeah, I think most people will do it, have a go, and then go either, go out on their own or start up something different, or, that's, that's business. I mean, that's why everyone sort of comes to work, isn't it? To sort of learn a skill, and then if you like doing it, then implement it yourself and go down your own path. So
yeah, it's not always as easy as it seems, though, which I'm sure some people will find out.
Yeah, well, that's right, and that's the thing. It's like, well, if that's what you want to do, that's fine, but you'll soon see that it's not just coming to work and collecting a paycheck. There's so much more involved, and if you're good at it, or you really want to stick through it, then yeah, go for it.
Now, and you've got a concrete course coming up. Is that getting announced in September, or is that when it's available?
Yeah, look, it's something that me and my wife have talked about for a good couple of years now, and ever since the sort of the COVID stuff hit last year, it was like, no, we really need to start doing this. This is something that is not available. It's no one's done it for the in situ architectural stuff, like the truck concrete. There's plenty of courses around for GFRC, which is that glass fibered reinforced concrete. Plenty of people doing that, but no one doing it with what we're doing. So it was something that, I'm not one who's very confident in front of a camera and things like that. And that was my big turn off, was just like, I just cringe hearing my own voice and things like that. So, I don't even want to look back at this recording, to be honest. It's one of those things that, I'm starting to slowly build a bit of confidence with it, but it's something I'm really excited about. And, the first thing we're doing is the floating concrete stairs. We want to release a number of courses, but this will be the big one, because it seems to be the one that most people want to learn about and know how to do properly. And, it's not very often you get to a flat site, or, you've got a dead flat home. There's always a level of transition, and floating concrete steps are just such an awesome way, or landings, to just break up those transitions. And you can just put them in any size, any shape. Yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, we're going to launch that sort of early September. We're hoping on the 1st, but it might just be a little bit later. It's just, there's a lot of working through that we're doing, which I didn't realise how much work was involved with it. But it's it's really exciting. We're going to start releasing a few little teaser sort of videos and stuff soon. And yeah, the response we've got is massive. So yeah, we've got hundreds of people already signed up. So yeah, it's going to be really good. And then hopefully we can sort of just build this, community and get some really good work going, and, just better the industry in general, try and get some of these people who really want to do it, don't really know how to do it, or they're not getting the results that they probably could be getting, and just show them the easy way of doing it. Don't have to go through all that trial and error, all the crap that I went through basically to try and perfect, not so much perfect. I mean, I'm still working on that, but you've just to make it easy and try and make it so you can put some really nice elements either into your home or you know, build your business repertoire. It's going to be good.
So are you planning on doing, say, a course for floating steps and then a course of barbecue bench tops? Is that the sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, maybe even, you know, some curve sort of elements and, you know, introducing a few other bits and pieces, just more technique stuff as well. Maybe some, you know, maybe one that's just focused on forming up, you know, a particular you know, bench or style or something like that. Still thinking about all of that stuff and how we'll go about it. But the one good thing with this course is, you know, we're going to get a lot of feedback. So we'll find out, you know, pretty quickly what people want next or and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it should be good.
Hopefully there's no requests for someone else to do the filming so that they don't want to hear your voice just to damage your ego anymore. So have you got any tools that you know, are vital for what you do that aren't, you know, a drill or something like that, like something that's not that common that people might not know of?
Oh, it's definitely
can't think of many examples.
Nah, definitely the Makita vibrator. It's my favorite tool. That tool there does takes out a lot of the hard work and a lot of the you know, the strain of removing formwork and then going, oh my God, I never got the concrete in that area. It never vibrated in properly. And, you know, we've got this whole big chunky void missing of concrete in a waterfall leg or something like that. So that's a really good one. So I don't know any other company from those major companies that do a vibrator, but the Makita make one, a little battery operated one, and it's an absolute game changer for what we do, for sure.
Yeah, cool. And with the course coming up, do you plan on still doing what you're doing now going forward, like still doing the installations as well?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Definitely. It's I love doing it. So it's just more, it was just another way of, you know, obviously I can only be, you know, on a site for 8 hours. And then same with my guys. So if we can, you know, teach more people and, you know, we've got this reach now, we've got guys in Egypt who've signed up for the course and things. So it's just, I like evolving and especially with what we're doing, if I can just sort of do something different, I like to just keep busy. So it's just another form of income for one. And then another thing just to keep me busy, which is really good.
What's it been like? Because I saw you've done a job. I know it was you've done one in Adelaide. So how was that going interstate to do the work in terms of, you know, taking a certain amount of tools over?
Yeah, so we just sort of packed the suitcase with our finishing tools and things, and then we'd sort of, you know, we did a job in Byron Bay where the truck just drove up. So the truck went on a mission. And that was really good because it's really good to have all your equipment and know where everything is. It's a bit harder when you've got just your power tools and then you're just relying on your other trades and stuff there. But that was one of the major things going over there with and meeting Rob from Distinctive Landscapes, and basically that was teaching those guys how to do what we do at the same time as producing, you know, some of the elements in those jobs. And it was that was another reason why I wanted to do it. I was getting a lot of satisfaction out of helping people and showing people how to do it. And now they're going on. They're doing some really, really awesome concrete work and stuff over there now. It's cool to see. So, you know, if we can have that sort of impact and help people better their business, it's great. It's awesome.
Yeah, cool. It's nice that you help the industry. Do you have any play any role in the designs on some of the projects that you do?
Sometimes, a lot of the times we are just sort of specified to go in, or we'll quote off some of these landscape architects' plans, or, you know, interior architect plans, which is great. But yeah, then we get the odd person who's got their landscape and everything done. They just don't have a barbecue bench or or they want to implement a fire pit, or some seating, or some floating landings and stuff. So yeah, we do a little bit, not as much as I'd like to do, to be honest. But you've got to keep it. Yeah, we can only do so much. So I don't really want to be doing all of that sort of stuff as well all of the time, and then not be able to sort of do the stuff for our landscape architects and stuff that we do a lot of work for. So
is there anything that you've been thinking of to try and do, like something to push the boundaries, whether it's a bench top or something else, that you're looking to do in the future?
Yeah, so I'm starting to look in more. It's actually funny. This morning I was watching a house in Germany get 3D printed out of concrete, which is pretty awesome. So it got me interested, and started the Google search and see sort of what's going on there. But I mean, that's not far off. Coming here, I don't think. But yeah, it's more the molds. So getting more into CNC molds, things like that, where we can implement some, to form stuff up. We're pretty limited with our timber. So, we can use a 3mm ply to get a really nice tight bend that way, but you're not going to be able to then bend it the other way as well. So to create really nice curves and things, we're sort of having to go down the way of CNC machining and things like that. So that's sort of where I'm sort of looking at now, and want to implement some Hungry Wolf Studio pieces that, we can offer, and you can just say, yeah, I want that, say that bench or that seat in my landscape project, and specify that particular element. So yeah, we just want to get some really cool molds and stuff made up, and then yeah, hopefully that can work too. So I'm always looking at evolving and changing up and doing something a bit different. So yeah, that's sort of what we're at the moment.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, sounds like you got plenty of thinking to keep doing as well. So I'll let you get back to that. But thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate you coming on.
Oh, it's been awesome, Joel. No worries at all. Anytime.
Thanks, Ollie.